Alrighty, so what we have here is Crash Bash, the greatest hits version for the PlayStation 1. It was packed fairly tightly here in the box. In terms of how tight it is, it doesn't really matter because the jewel cases are not necessarily subjected to the same type of imprinting that overly tight bubble wrap can leave on the art cover if it's pressed in too tightly against the inner sort of molding of the disc holder, etc., etc., etc. So with jewel cases, that's not really super important. What's important is to make sure that there is enough space all around, on all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides of the jewel case, so that external impacts that are kind of inevitable during the shipping process, such as this, that, do not actually damage the case itself. And of course, it's important that the item is as described in the first place. So in this case, this sort of self-constructed box was fairly sturdy, but there wasn't a ton of room all around it. So a more significant hit, like a heavy box landing on it in the wrong way, certainly could theoretically damage it. So personally, I probably would have used a larger box, but in this case, it didn't matter. That's interesting. That's interesting. One of the things with these first generation PlayStation 1 games is the two different types of cases that they used. Like the earlier ones, some of the original Black Label ones came with round kind of stoppers here instead of these kind of longitudinal ones, you know what I'm saying? So the round stoppers would actually damage the front of the manual in two spots because they were just too small. Whereas with these ones, the damage when the manual is moving inside, there's obviously some movement in there, the damage is minimized. So as we can see, this one here, well, let's actually take a look at it. It's nice that it's was actually shipped in a kind of an exterior case like this, the plastic holder. I'm going to try to open it in a more intelligent way than I just did. I don't want to bend it and stuff like that, so I'm going to see if if this would be a good way to go about it. Yeah, like that. Whoops, I'm not even sure if that's visible. Sometimes I forget to look. All right. So what happens with this, and it actually happens with boxes as well, boxed like cartridges, stuff like that, is that this cut here is designed for this flap to like catch on it and whatnot. So if it catches on it, and you just kind of stick your finger in here and start pulling, these sides are held, and bad things happen. Alright, so let's see what the item itself actually looks like. Ooh. I don't know why I bought this, to be honest with you. I think I just wanted the game, and I already have cases that aren't abused like this, and the price was good or something like that. Maybe I had this on my list, and I'm like, okay, I just want to check it off my list. I'm going to open it anyway. There doesn't seem to be any damage to it. Is there? Okay, so I was just seeing some yellowing right there, and I thought, is that the manual's pages that are yellowed? Or what the deal is? But the thing is, I think that the pages themselves are actually have some like yellow on them, I hope. And there's not like water damage or mildew damage or something like that. A little bit hard to tell with games that are in this condition. So as a rule, I try to avoid, but sometimes I don't, I guess. And so that's what we got here. So I do believe that this was as described. It was packed reasonably well. I was aware of all the damage, and it is what it is at this point, because I just basically wanted a game to play. I normally would try to buy a Black Label, but those are kind of rare and overpriced, and there are some games from the PlayStation 1 era especially, and it's getting to be more and more that way for some games from the PlayStation 2 era as well, where Black Label games are no longer attainable, let's say, by collectors with my income level. Let's just put it that way. I mean, I could, but that would be like one game I could afford a year or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Some of those prices have gotten like so freaking insane. It's just like stealing from yourself. It makes no sense, you know what I mean? So I'm totally fine with collecting the greatest hits versions for some of these games, especially knowing that I'm going to open them and play them, and quite frankly, by the time I actually started buying for the PlayStation 1 era, the retail availability was mostly for greatest hits games, and I never really cared until I started looking into the collection some more. Now, when I'm purchasing modern generation games, PS4 and the PS5 obviously is still, they don't have the greatest hits versions yet. I kind of hate it that the manufacturers do that in the first place, but I really don't understand the logic. Like, I really don't. I do not. Nobody wants greatest hits versions. Just go search for any game from any generation. I don't know why Sony does that. I do not understand what the business reason is, because I do believe they would make more money never releasing greatest hits games. Just Black Label only, hold your price. I don't know. Collectors would buy it, snap them right up. Of course, perhaps the long-term values of Black Label games are kind of propped up to freaking cosmic levels by the fact that these greatest hits versions are released, but I just never feel like it's an improvement. It's just like extraneous. Nobody cares. Like, just stick with the original beautifully designed labels that you had. I don't get it. Anyway, I could rant about that for a longer period of time than I already have. I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to just be satisfied with this unboxing. Obviously, like I said, the game is not perfect or whatever, but it is exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what I paid for. It's exactly what I bought. I knew why I bought it, and it even came with this nice storage case that I'll probably use for a different game, or maybe this one. I don't know. Anyway, so there we have it. It's packed well also, so I'm just going to, thankfully, for God's sakes, it's like it's a smaller percentage of the games and unboxings in the last few days that I did that actually don't have issues with them, and I almost have this anxiety now before I start an unboxing, because if it's not as described, if there's a problem with it, I'm going to be stuck freaking uploading photos to eBay, keeping track of claims, I don't know, PayPal, blah, 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 blah. It's just such a life-wasting experience. But luckily, this time, it wasn't. And so I'm going to move along, go leave the seller positive feedback. Maybe send her, I think it was send her a link to my channel, my YouTube channel, where I post these. If you're watching this, feel free to subscribe and hit a like or dislike. Make a comment if you'd like. And there we have it.